again, shout out to Curtis. Appreciated that. I do a lot. I'm a one-man show, so I was running back and forth. I apologize for that part. But we're switching gears right now. I told you we had a pretty pack-filled hour. One of our good friends has come in studio. He, of course, is the businessman extraordinaire, as I like to label him, throughout Northwest Indiana. But he's also wears another hat as well. He is the director or the president of the Gary branch of the NAACP. And I know, Steve, I always kind of tease you because the listeners know that I always kind of take shots at the national NAACP. I just do. I talk about them being irrelevant, things like that. But I always kind of temper it because I love you guys locally. I mean, you all are absolutely, as I was telling the audience earlier this morning, I've been very fortunate to attend a couple of these events that you've had around Martin Luther. I remember the Raging Cajun. That was the one I was talking about when he came. And that was kind of when I believe the region was introduced to Jennifer Ruth Green. She did a very good speech at one of your events. And I'm sure that helped propel her into getting into politics that year. But I really enjoy them. They're very well put together. You incorporate young people, and you do a lot for the community. So I always give you a pass when it comes to the NAACP. So with that being said, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Now, you have an annual meeting and dinner fundraiser coming up in a couple of weeks, about a week or so, December 17th. I guess we can talk about that, but before we get to that, kind of tell us what the NAACP's been up to.
Well, Jeff, every day it's a different challenge.
Yeah.
So we've been involved in the community. In November, we had a very successful coat drive.
Right.
There's so many of our young people going to school, sitting on bus corners without the ability to have a decent coat.
Yes.
And everyone's focusing on the migrants, and we're focusing on the folks in our community that are suffering as well.
Nice.
So that coat drive was very successful. We were able to get coats, and we partnered with the Tech Credit Union. That was a very successful event.
Right.
We also had a toy drive that we partnered with the veterans because, it's nice to get something on your tree.
It is.
Santa Claus always skipped our neighborhood,
Yeah,
so we want to make sure that our young kids are able to have some kind of toy.
Right.
And that's always good to see smiles on their face.
I like that.
But moving over, we really had some adult or community events.
Yeah.
We had a very nice event, what I've thought very successful in merging our citizens. We had a meeting with the state police, county police, Gary Police, and I was hosted at Brown Skin Coffee.
Brown Skin Coffee, yeah.
And it was awesome, where the community got a chance to visit with the police,
Right.
talk to the police, break down some walls and barriers. And so we're trying to get proactive and get ahead of that Buster got shot by the police.
Right.
Where we have conversations that we strengthen our relationships with our police in Lake County, because we've had a lot of challenges. And so we wanted to bridge that gap. That was very successful. Colonel Jerry Williams and Chief Titus, they led, and we had other local departments, but that was a great beginning of opening up the communication.
Right.
So people could candidly say, where do I get a gun safety lock?
Right.
How do I deal with this? Hey, these guys shooting every night behind my house.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that? And we don't, and we can communicate.
Like, the police and the interaction is great. What are we talking about as far as, police in our own community, turning in people who are out here doing stuff?
So it starts by, one,
respecting the police.
Respect and let them know that's not our enemy.
Right.
Because at 3 a.m, when you make that phone call, you're calling those guys.
Thank you.
And so, but it was a good communications,
I like that.
And it's a good two-way street. And so the community got to hear their side.
I like that.
And find out that they're normal guys. They kind of hung out, you know.
Jerry Williams, he's cool. I've had the pleasure of working with him.
Well, me as well. We were on the committee to work on selecting a new chief.
Right.
I've had the privilege of working with Chief Titus.
Yeah.
And
went to school with him.
Yeah, and he's my frat brother. So he's a great man, great leader. So that was outstanding. So as well as working with our youth,
right,
we try to engage the community, but there's still the work of civil rights never ends. We are still getting complaints on discrimination.
Yeah, really?
In 2024, nothing's changed.
Let me ask you this, because I just want to, because obviously you're tapped into the national network, and about a week or so, really a couple of months ago, I had a nice little discussion on this show, and this was kind of back when the migrant crisis was really starting to kind of peak at its point.
Sure. And
cities were becoming overwhelmed. Eric Adams, Johnson over in Chicago, and many others. And I always wondered where, and I asked aloud, where are the civil rights organizations on that? And I'm not trying to pit anybody against one group, but arguably the more vulnerable people in this situation, the migrant situation, are black men. And the reason I say black men is because the migrants overwhelmingly are between the ages of 18 to 30 from what I've been gathering, and they're, basically they're men. We do have obviously some women and children that are coming, but the black man is a little bit more vulnerable to this influx of cheap labor. And so is this something, because it's on voters' minds. I mean, you see it over in Chicago at these forums. I've heard groups over in New York, and it seems that on this issue, black Americans are kind of standing alone. And I would argue that this should be something that the NAACP should be voicing on, because this is, I'll just tell you straight up what I think. This is an example of the Democratic Party kind of turning on them. I'm not going down that road. You know I was, Steve, but I'm not going down that road. But is the NAACP involved in this? Are they at least having conversations nationally? Because this is a civil rights issue.
Well, more than a civil rights issue, this is an unfortunate issue for all parties.
I'm not going to paint you in that corner.
Take
you down my rabbit hole.
Well, you really did, but we know we need a long-term solution to immigration.
Yes.
And the politicians have ignored this, and we really haven't solved that problem.
Yeah.
And then one state pits against another state, and they ship folks around.
Right.
That's not right.
Yeah.
And
see, the reason I say black men specifically is because we've seen it, and I talk about it all the time on the air, and I talk about it with my wife. Right now, there's a lot of things moving, a lot of moving pieces in the black community. Number one, I think we have to admit that black women right now are a little bit more degreed. More black women have gone to college and are working their way up and are in positions, while black men are kind of sitting out here kind of on their own little island, and we rely a lot more on labor. And so that makes us vulnerable. You get what I'm saying? If you get this influx of workers, I think black women will be all right, but black men are the ones that are more vulnerable to this influx of cheap labor. That's just my thought on that. And so I just wanted to see if the NAACP, in all of its wisdom, is paying attention to this.
Well, Jeff, we've been paying attention because let me just back up for a second. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year, before the migrants ever got here, Miss McGillicuddy was calling me saying, Steve, my son's in the basement not working, and these guys were pulling wire outside of her house in Tarrytown.
Yeah.
And our kids was watching them work. We don't have a path to the middle class. So let me just tell you what we're doing here at NAACP now.
Yes.
We are working off of our solar power training program. We're trying to get the apprenticeship approved with the state.
I like it.
And the kids that we've got in the program get snatched out into the labor unions and other unions.
Yeah.
The path to the middle class is to get our kids in these unions and these apprenticeships and get to training. That's what my biggest complaint is that everybody's talking about getting a kid to go to school and go to college. Hell, when I went to school, we had a trade right here at this facility.
Yeah.
I got a trade.
Right.
So guess what? Those 18 and 19-year-olds that started out making $75,000 a year, in their second year, 2 years later, Miss McGillicuddy's son is still not working. These guys are all making $100,000.
Yes.
They driving their F-150s, and they coming back in our neighborhood buying homes.
Right.
There you
go. That's a solution.
To rent out to Buster and them.
Right.
So we're trying to break that cycle.
Yeah.
We're trying to get our young men working. And that's why I want this facility to start teaching meaningful work that's a pathway to the trades.
Yeah.
We're trying to teach OSHA 10. We're trying to teach the basic fundamentals of how you work.
Right.
But the basic fundamentals should be taught in high school.
Listen, the governor is already, about 5 years ago, Governor Holcomb created that 2-pathway thing to graduation. One of them is focused on vocational training. We are now on the verge of a skills-based economy. People know I'm over here rallying against colleges right now because they basically teach nonsense and their prices are unchecked. But that's a whole nother conversation. Right now, younger people, this is one of the things that I'll give this young generation, Generation Y and below them, is that the one thing that they have done is they figured it out. They're not interested in spending 4 years stagnant and going into $60,000, $80,000 debt. They want to jump into something, see how it works at the very beginning, and then maybe move on to the next thing. They're built for vocational training. Businesses are now looking for people without bachelor degrees. United Airlines or Delta, one of the major airlines now, they want commercial pilots who have hours. If you have a bachelorette, great. If you don't, cool. We just need pilots with hours. That's kind of where businesses are going, because when you're looking at technology, and that once again comes back to the black man and why I think he's vulnerable, is that you get this intersection of cheap labor and you get artificial intelligence and the robots, somebody's going to be without a chair when the music stops. And so I would suggest this is probably the best time to go get our young black men specifically. And the reason I'm excluding women is because they're already out here in university and college, and they run around here with masters and PhDs, and so they're fine. I'm talking about the men. We got to snatch them up, get them trained, and put them out in the job market and be available, because there's not going to be a lot of time for them to get and fill these spots. There just isn't.
Jeff, our young men are not working. We don't have a pipeline to get them to work. We don't have a pipeline. I don't have 10 kids right now in high school I can work with. So help me. We talked about this last time, and I try to stay out the politics. Because we're always fighting, but when we talk about a solution, they don't want to talk about that.
Exactly.
So I wanna come back and do a follow up with you on this topic.
I love this conversation.
And I will talk with all your educators and tell them.
Because you can base it off your own experience. Listen,
that's all I'm going to go by.
This is, before we move on, I want to get to the fundraiser, but, it's probably, for the students in the Gary community, it's probably never been tailored and better put together than it is right now. I didn't really pay attention. The trades were a dirty word when I was coming to school, in school, and you went to college and things like that. Right now, the way the Gary community schools are set up is not only, if you take care of your business as a student, you can pretty much have your high school requirements done by your junior year. Then you can start to enroll over at the Career Center, go get your certification, and if you feel ambitious enough, go and get your associate degree from Westside University inside Westside. You can come out with a trifecta if you play your cards right. This is probably the best opportunity for 18-year-olds to kind of go out here, get their little education for free, by the way, get your associates for free, get your certification and a discipline for free, maybe a little money to buy your equipment, and then go out and jump into the workforce, as you said, and see where it goes, and maybe add on to that and pay your own way.
We need to get that word out.
Yeah.
We need to highlight and spotlight our kids that are doing that. We have some kids that are doing that.
Yeah.
And let everybody know, here's the path.
Yeah.
Get on board, follow the path. And I'm not trying to throw folks under the bus, but that's not highly publicized.
It isn't.
And that's not encouraged.
Right.
And we have to change. What we're doing is not working.
Right. It's not.
And so we need to focus on those men, those young men, and make sure, and we pull them through. But we can create our own model.
Right.
Because the cavalry's not coming. I like the Dodger farm system. They create minor leaguers. They come up and they're in the pro. We need to create our young men to be prepared to work, having all the basic skills. They get out on the job, they can't read a ruler, they can't measure, they don't know how to handle tools. And they get there and they feel out of place, and then they talk down to them, and then they feel inadequate. We should have them prepared.
And then they go and never come back. And don't participate anymore.
Don't try to participate in the jobs that pay the money.
I like that. We'll move on because, going back to Chief Williams, one of the things that I talked with him about, and, Colonel Liggins over there, a big proponent of it as well, is, you know, when we sit here, we look at our numbers with public safety, police and fire. We've got an EMT program that just debuted over at the Career Center this year. But, you know, I know they can't do anything at 18. But if you partner and come up with some ideas with Indiana University Northwest, get some cadet type of program going on in the high school where you're kind of farming your future policemen, and then maybe they can go over to IUN for a couple of years, get a criminal justice degree or some kind of law enforcement certification, then come back and, you know, pay it back a little bit by being geared police for a number of years. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we got to start thinking outside the box.
Jeff, coding, right now,
Yes.
you can teach a 9th, 10th grader to code because that's where their interest is at.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
No.
We're still doing ABC. The
Thank
world
you.
is not ABC.
Yeah. We have to move.
And so as the technology change, the EV technology,
Yes.
all the green jobs, and this is what our meeting is going to be about Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a focus on environmental climate justice because all of the new technologies and all the new green jobs, we're not participating.
Does the National Party talk to you? Because the real NAACP, the National Party, they don't have these kind of meetings. They waste a lot of time and eat steak dinners, don't they?
No, I can't say that.
I'm not throwing you under the bus, but this is very specific. I'm telling you, I'm absolutely refreshed hearing you talk like this.
Well, everything is local.
Yeah.
Politics is local. So
Yeah.
you have to start in your local community.
Yeah.
And then expand from there. But obviously, every day in this country, it's 42 states that are changing their voter rights laws. It's a battle in just about every legislature.
Now, what's going on with voter rights? I'm going to ask you this because I think it's just a little bit of nonsense. Because what's wrong with asking for ID? I mean, are people literally trying to get people off the rolls? And if so, is it because people aren't showing up to vote? I mean, you know, they can only keep you on the rolls for so long, and then they're going to erase you. You have to participate in the process.
Well, I have never seen the intimidation. And I think I voted, and I'm telling my age, I think I voted for, was it Jimmy Carter? Yeah, Jimmy Carter, I think that was the first one I voted for.
Okay.
But any event,
Yeah.
I have never seen the intimidation to vote at polls across this country.
Right.
Guys hanging out at the polls with guns.
Where was
all across this country.
They're doing it now?
Yes, they're doing it now, and so now they've extended the space along enforcing how close you can get to someone as they vote coming to the polls.
Right.
But to aggressively really make it difficult and make people feel uncomfortable.
Where is this happening?
This is happening all across this country.
Now, I see people that are kind of irritating, trying to, you know, give me people's literature and stuff when I'm trying to vote. I'm like, I already know who I'm voting for. Thank you.
But that
I've never had anybody
the
approach me with a
vote
gun.
the voting experience in Gary, Indiana,
Yeah.
is totally different in other parts of this country.
Okay.
In Gary, it's the majority is African American.
Right.
In Gary, we may have 20,000 eligible voters. Maybe 5 may come out. So it's a whole
different
game. And I see where you're coming from,
Yeah.
because we're not exercising our right.
Right.
But other people that want to exercise their right, they're being challenged.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
all of these guys are doubling down in their legislatures because they don't want, if you look at the popular vote, it kind of leans toward a certain group. If you look at the popular vote, unfortunately,
It's going to change. You do know that.
well,
This come around. But that's a whole nother thing. We'll talk off the mic.
200,000 people determine who the president's going to be in this country.
You're talking about electoral college?
in 5 swing states.
Right.
So that's how tight it is. 5 swing
Okay.
states. And then you want to break that down some more, you know, you can. It's about 243 counties that determines this.
And so let me ask you this then, as it relates to voting, and I've always wondered this, and this is why I'm hard on the National Party. When did the NAACP become the basically the right arm of the Democratic Party? I mean, isn't the NAACP supposed to go out here and advocate for colored people and kind of be our agent, where we're kind of figuring out who's giving us the best deal, regardless of who they are or what letters behind them? it seems that after a number of years, you all got absorbed into the Democratic Party, and you're basically just a wing of theirs.
Well, Jeff, you're totally wrong on that. First of all, the NAACP is nonpartisan.
I know they're supposed to be.
Now, wait, hold it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hold it. Let me talk to you now. Now, what happened when a gentleman by the name of Barack Obama was elected president, the policies and a lot of his actions just mirrored and matched, and that relationship was basically inseparable.
Okay.
And that every now and then that happens, but that doesn't totally happen.
Okay.
But
you all pushed Joe Biden on us.
Wait, back up.
Yeah.
Back up, Jeffro.
Okay.
Now you're crossing the line.
Okay.
You're crossing the line.
Now, when I say you all, I'm talking about the National Party.
I don't think that happened at all.
Okay.
I think that the experience of certain groups in this country by Mr. Trump made them to have a clear decision of whether they're going to vote for the less of the two evils.
Okay.
So let's just be objective here.
I'm objective. I mean, I am. I just want, like I said, I love my local party because of you and the wonderful people. I just, I'm having you answer for the National Party, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're the smart guy. I can get answers out of you.
But now,
and you're real.
If you talk to Miss Walker and Miss Jones, they clearly knew who they wanted to vote for in that election.
Okay, I mean, I don't mind.
And they did not need anything from Mr. Mays or the NAACP or the Urban League or any other group, because they saw a clear choice between 45 and the other guy.
You see, because, the conversation you and I just had, which was a lot locally based, I just want the NAACP nationally to start thinking in those terms instead of just thinking. They seem like they are, I mean, once again, it's my opinion, they just seem like they are a national kind of the black extension of the Democratic Party, and it's their job to go out here and basically kind of, maybe they'll give a couple issues to whatever Democratic candidate's running, but after that, they're kind of checked out. I just can't deal with them on that level.
Jeff, you beat me down,
I'm
man.
not beating you down. I'm telling you how great you are. I want the conversation you and I just had, which is a solution-based conversation, nonpartisan. I want that to extend to the National Party.
Well, you know what I'm gonna do, Jeff. I'm
and
really going.
running around with commemorative plates from Barack Obama's president.
Well, I'm gonna get you on my press, publicity, and communications committee.
Yeah.
Because I think you need to be a part of letting them know how you feel, because
they don't want to hear from me.
We let them know how we feel. But nonetheless, I think when you go back and visit and you talk to folks. Folks were clearly lined up. They knew what was at stake.
Right.
And then democracy is going to be threatened again.
Why? Because Trump's going to win?
No, I'm just saying democracy as we know it.
Oh. I mean, that's a very provocative statement. I mean, can you at least give me the cliff notes of what you're talking about?
Well, how's
democracy threatened more than it is right now? We have a migrant surge because our borders open in the South, and we're giving billions of dollars to a dude who used to be in a boy band who's the president of Ukraine.
Oh man, that's something else, Jeff. I don't know about that stuff, Jeff. But one thing I do know about is in Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
We have more IDEM permits than the next 6 counties around us.
Yeah. Now, what's that about?
So everybody wants to come in and pollute. Everybody wants to throw up a dump here, in environmental graveyard here.
Okay.
And we're opposed to that. And that's why our event coming up next week is on environmental climate justice.
Okay.
We got the best drinking water in the world, and people want to come and build a trash burning plant to burn Chicago's trash in our backyard.
You're talking about Fulcrum.
Right.
Okay.
So I want to just change, let's talk about what's going on around here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And so that's why we have this meeting coming up next week, along with all the things that we've dealt with throughout the year.
Yeah.
But our speaker is going to focus on what we have here.
Yeah, who's this dude? He looks hardcore, Darnell Johnson.
He is hardcore, and that's why we got him coming on, because maybe we need to hear some hardcore as we learn about the assets that we have.
Right.
We've got everything. We command nothing. It should start to be Gary first. It should be community first.
Okay.
It should be our health first when we got the highest cancer rate in this state.
Right.
We should have quality air to breathe.
Okay.
And so we've gotten plans to really address these things and attack these things and to make the quality of life better for the citizens here.
I like that.
That's what we're trying to do here.
So what are some of the ideas about making that happen? Because I agree with you about the water. I mean, there's very few fresh water, reservoirs on this planet, and we happen to live right on the southern tip of one of the biggest in Lake Michigan, and so I can appreciate that. But what would you say to somebody? I mean, because I hear the solutions. You and I were just talking about it when you were talking about getting our young men to work, and so.
Well, the solar power training helps them for the green jobs.
See, here's what I say. You're a businessman. You can appreciate this. I've always, over the years, used to have people always talk about what we need to come to the city of Gary, and what we, in the middle class and all that stuff. But here's the deal. Most businesses, when they're searching around, they kind of sniff around for a workforce. You know what I mean? They're looking to see what the talent level is in the community that they're about to go open their shutters in. If we don't have people that can do these jobs, these quote green jobs and things like that, we're going to be resulted to sooner or later having to take a fulcrum and take whatever we can get, because you can't just throw the operation of the city on every 4 out of 10 people who pay their taxes here. Because we need some commercial real estate, we need some homeowners.
Well, and you're right on that, and we're poised to have all that working. So we have to get a workforce that's going to be prepared.
Yes.
They've got billions of dollars slated for infrastructure for our area.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
But if we're not working, if we're not out there driving the tractors, we're not out there laying the concrete, we're not out there doing the work,
right,
we just totally miss out, because it's going to be in our area.
Yeah.
All the money is going to be in our area, and we got to get our share. So we got to have some meaningful solutions on how we get our share.
Right.
So we got to start somewhere.
No, I like
But
that.
at the meantime, we can't let the carpetbaggers just come in here and just do anything, and we just accept it.
So how do we?
So we have to have
survive?
we first of all, we need to make sure our community's aware, because they're not aware.
Okay.
We got to stop sleeping at the switch, and then we need to make sure that we're focusing as a community together to get the results that we want.
Okay.
Everything else is just hot air.
Yeah.
So we're trying to start to do that, and so we need everybody to come together and to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because
so who are these people? Because when I hear this, I think of guys like you when you talk about your story and things like that. And these people are out here. I'm very fortunate to run into them every once in a while. But we're talking about this collective of people that are not participating. I mean, we need people to go out here and start their own development, start their own business. As you started off the show, the cavalry's not coming.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we don't have plumbers,
right,
we're not going to get a plumbing contractor.
Right.
If we don't have electricians, we're not going to get an electrical contractor. So when it comes down to bidding jobs, when it comes down to business ownership, you have to have a pipeline, and we're trying to develop a pipeline.
Okay.
So
I like that.
Whatever we're doing, we've got to have the community leaders has got to come together, and businesses got to come together. We need to be driven more by business that comes in and say, here is what we need,
right,
and then you all go out and prepare the product, and we deliver.
Yeah,
that's where we got to go.
See, that's the Steve Mays I love talking to, because I know he listens to the show. He's a friend of mine, but I've always said that the Gary Chamber of Commerce is really the region Chamber of Commerce. The city of Gary needs its own kind of merchant class or some kind of thing like that, because you brought up a good point, and I absolutely believe it, and I've talked about it on the show. I think over the years we've relied too much on our politicians to go out here and do our economic development. We need businessmen who can sit here and talk to other people that are sniffing around and talk about what it's really like doing business in the city, and to be able to go out here and fraternize, invite people to come take a look-see of Gary and kind of hype it up, because it's difficult when you're sending politicians out there to do things and then come back, because sometimes the politician's going to find his or herself in a position where they're giving away tax abatements. They're just doing things that might be detrimental, while people who are businessmen can really talk eye to eye and be honest and transparent. And so when I hear you talk like that as a businessman in the region, and then the community, absolutely great. Well, this gives me hope.
Well, you know what? It's going to take a joint effort among all of us.
Yeah.
Public, private,
Yeah.
and we got to start somewhere, Jeff.
Yeah.
And so that's why on December 17th,
Absolutely.
we will be out at the Chateau for our annual meeting, and our guest speaker is Darnell Johnson. Individual tickets are $50.
Right.
You know that meal alone with that turkey and dressing and all the ham and the chicken and fish. That meal alone is worth $50. But nonetheless, we're asking the community to come out. It's just 3 o'clock this upcoming Sunday, and join us in a well worth event that inspires our community and gives us a vision on where we need to go.
Can you believe that it's the 17th already, this coming Sunday?
Time is flying.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was just me. I know the audience gets tired of me saying it.
I hate when they turn back that time. You wake up, it's time to go to bed.
Absolutely.
I'm still suffering from not having my daylight.
Oh my goodness! No, you don't get up when I get up. At least it's light when you get out of here. But anyway, as I said, this is a wonderful event. It really is. It's December 17th. This coming Sunday, 3:30 p.m. You say get there at 3.
Yes.
Okay. Darnell Johnson Urban Efficiency Group. Price just $50. It's at the Chateau, located 530 West 61st Avenue, beautiful Maryville, Indiana. They have a lot of great food. They really do. I enjoy there. The theme is going to be environmental and climate justice. And, I always appreciate these conversations. You keep my mind going. You let me know that I'm not that crazy because you indulge me. But I appreciate you.
You beat me down.
No, I don't beat you down. I ask you pointed questions based on the NAACP. But and you're a good sport. So tell me a little bit about, give a plug to your day job. Are you working as many hours at the insurance agency like you used to, or have you taken owner's hours lately?
Well, no, Jeff, I'm working hard at my State Farm agency. The agency gives me job autonomy and job design that allows me to go out and serve my community.
Right.
Just for the record, I get paid absolutely $1 from the branch.
Really?
Yeah, and everybody thinks we get these big salaries. We don't. We're all volunteers. So.
What are you talking about, NAACP or the State Farm?
No, State Farm allows me to be able to go and give back to my community.
Right. So, yeah,
but a lot of people get paid from these agencies.
Oh yeah, the NAACP.
Yeah, I don't get paid a dime.
They need to pay you.
Well, Jeff, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And it's a labor of love. We have people that volunteer with our young folks.
Right.
Getting them prepared with all the different programs that we have.
So do you have a vibrant young folk program going on
now?
When I was going to high school, the NAACP used to have these little junior membership things.
Yeah, we have the AXO program. We have the youth council.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm trying to draft some folks that you know very well to help me out in that area. And they have a big event in Black History Month.
Nice.
So we have our Image Awards coming up with our young people at Indiana University.
Oh.
So we're trying to we depend on donations from our community to sustain ourselves.
Yes.
But obviously it's a labor of love. We must be respected. We must be at the table.
Right.
And people need to make sure that they don't skip over Northwest Indiana, especially Gary.
I like it. Listen, if I ever donated to an NAACP branch, it would be yours.
But come on with it, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I mean, if I would, National Party, of course not. But you, oh my goodness, yes, you're a great person, man. I appreciate you. Once again, as I said, give me your day hours for your business, though. Just give yourself a little plug.
Yeah,
You've earned it.
9 to 5 is my State Farm agency. My number is.
You literally work 9 to 5.
Well, my team works 9 to 5,
right,
and so my number is 219-972-0088. We sell auto insurance, business insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, health insurance, and so by all means, give us a call.
Absolutely. State Farm. Dispel the rumor that if you're getting an accident with State Farm, you automatically get dropped. Is that true?
Jeff, no one gets dropped. So now, if you got that accident, that DUI,
I'm not talking about DUI. Just how about something just hit your car?
No. No. State Farm will not drop you like that.
All right, there you go. See, you're clearing up all types of misinformation. We appreciate you for that. We're going to get ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll get a first look outside weather and traffic. Then I'll update you with the news.